4, 3, 2, 1.
Studio Classroom is
Recording.
Please stand by.
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. This is the place to come when you want to have some fun. My name is Rebecca, and today your English will improve. You better believe it. If I told you that one could be a percussionist while being deaf, would you believe me? Perhaps you would think that's impossible. No way. People need to be able to hear in order to be a percussionist. Well, perhaps you might be surprised. Today we are going to learn about such a percussionist who is deaf in a lesson called Dame Evelyn Glennie, the world's first solo percussionist. And here's a question for you to try to answer. Where was Evelyn Glennie born? Well, friends, I know you have your magazines. Open them up to today's lesson, and let's get started. Come with me.
Dame Evelyn Glennie, the world's first solo percussionist. This award-winning musician provides inspiration through her special performances. Kids love percussion instruments and the various sounds they make. But there is a difference between noise and music. Players must make the right sounds at the right time to play music. In truth, becoming a percussionist requires a great deal of skill and practice. For years, it was believed that one more thing was vital: a good sense of hearing. Dame Evelyn Glennie, though, has proven that isn't always true.
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们今天要看的第一个字是形容词 solo。solo 的意思是指单独的或是独自一个。譬如说 Charles Lindbergh was the first person to make a solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean. 查尔斯·林白是第一位独自飞过大西洋的人。Solo 也可以当作名词来指独奏。例如 James will be performing his first violin solo at the recital tonight. James 在今晚演奏会将表演他第一场小提琴独奏。我们也可以把 solo 当作副词来形容单独一个人在做一件事。例如 Do not go solo through this forest. Make sure you always have someone with you. 不要独自一个人走进森林，一定要有人陪着。Solo 也可以直接拿来当动词来指单独完成一件事。例如 Mike usually goes hiking with his brother, but this time he wants to solo. Mike 平常会跟弟弟一起爬山，但是他这一次打算自己一个人去。好，我们来看下一个字 vital。vital 是一个形容词，在文章里的意思是不可少的或是务必的。例如 It is absolutely vital that the general gets this letter. 将军一定要拿到这封信，这是非常重要的。或是 The manager sees Stewart as a vital member of the sales team. 经理视 Stewart 为业务团队里不可缺少的一份子。Vital 也可以用来形容跟生命有关的，例如 The monitor shows that the patient's vital signs are stable. 萤幕显示病人生命迹象都稳定。我们也可以用 vital 来指跟维持生命有关的，例如 Barney is always getting sick because he only eats junk food and doesn't get enough vital nutrients. Barney 老是生病，因为他只吃垃圾食物，重要营养素都没有摄取。
Thank you very much, Jack. Those were some vital words you taught us about in the language lab. I'm happy to be here too, friends. My name is Gabe.
Well, today we are learning about Dame Evelyn Glennie and what makes this individual especially special. Well, she's the world's first solo percussionist. Now, Gabe, I know that you're also a percussionist.
That's right.
How would you like to be a solo percussionist?
You know, I had a friend in university who gave a performance just by himself on stage with a lot of different percussion instruments, from the drum set to the marimba and lots of different things, and timpani. It looked like it was a challenge, but it was really amazing to see. I think it would be great, but maybe it's not my life calling.
Okay, not your life calling.
Yeah, I would enjoy doing solos on a drum set, but maybe not work with all those different percussion instruments.
Okay, well, at least you know that that's not your life calling. Well, friends, let's get into our lesson. We read, this award-winning musician provides inspiration through her special performances. And how does our lesson continue, Gabe?
Well, kids love percussion instruments and the various sounds they make. I love how our lesson begins, right? Learning about kids. So from a young age, people like to make sounds with different instruments or different pots and pans, perhaps. Like, we have a video of my son when he was around 1 year old, just hitting on pots and pans with my drumsticks. And he accidentally hit himself in the face and started crying.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's kind of cute, but ouch, you're right.
Ouch for him.
Yeah.
Well, we read, but there is a difference between noise and music. I think kids like to make noise. They think it's fun, but there is a difference between the two. And we would like to take a look at the sentence pattern, the difference between one thing and something else. This is just the way you can compare two or more things that are not the same.
That's right. So you could talk about the difference between, in Chinese, 严肃 and 严重. Sometimes I get confused. Of course, you know the difference, right? But in English, we would just use the word serious for both of those words. Oh, that's a serious conversation. Oh, that was a serious problem, right? But in Chinese, 严肃 and 严重 are different. What is the difference between these two words? And if you're curious about the difference between some words and you're not sure, friends, in English, just use your computer, type in the first word and then VS, the second word, the first word versus the second word, and see what comes up in your search. You can learn about the difference between those words.
Well, we continue. Players must make the right sounds at the right time to play music. In truth, becoming a percussionist requires a great deal of skill and practice.
For years, it was believed that one more thing was vital, a good sense of hearing. Let's talk about a good sense of something.
This is just the ability to use one of the five senses well.
That's right. So we might talk about your sense of sight or touch or taste. A good sense of smell. Someone might have a good sense of smell. Or we even use this to talk about humor. Someone who is able to see life in a very fun way and not take things too seriously. They have a good sense of humor. We read on here, Dame Evelyn Glennie, though, has proven that isn't always true. We have more to learn about this lady later, but right now let's go to the
Info Cloud.
Hello friends, welcome to InfoCloud. As the presidential election nears in the USA, I'm curious about Anne-Marie's political opinions.
Rex, you know I don't like to talk about politics. However, I am impressed with one candidate's ability to debate. It seems like no matter what the opponent says, there is always a clapback to follow.
Clapback is another way of saying comeback. Comeback can have several different meanings.
To make a comeback means to rise again after it seems as if you would lose, or to start again after something seems to be over.
When Anne-Marie mentioned political debates, she was talking about a response, specifically a sharp or witty reply. When someone says something rude or something you don't like, you could give a comeback.
It's hard to argue with Mandy. She has a comeback for everything.
A clapback, in comparison, is an even sharper reply, sometimes even described as cutting or devastating.
To clap back, the verb form of this word, is the action of giving a retort. These days, if something rude is said to them on Twitter, most people will immediately clap back.
我们经常在新闻媒体上看到某某议员霸气回应、不实指控等等的强烈标题。英文可以用 clap back 来形容。When the candidate was attacked, he immediately clapped back. 那位候选人对于那些攻击他的言论做出犀利的回应。另外一个类似的用语是 give a comeback。comeback 有卷土重来的含义。当你听到别人说一些令你不舒服的话，你可以 give a comeback， 霸气回应。comeback 和 clapback 之间的分别就是 clapback 比较犀利，杀伤力也比较大。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Oh, hi there. What do you think of the latest ad campaign?
Oh, the new tea ad?
Yes, that one. I like the colors and the creative flow on the logo. What do you think? Are we on the same page?
Are we on the same page?
Yes. So, what do you think?
I also like it a lot. It's colorful and different from ones we've done in the past.
Great! I am so happy we're on the same page. We both agree that it's a good ad.
Ah, so that's what on the same page means.
Yes! What did you think it meant?
Oh, well, let's just say that I'm always glad to be on the same page as you.
You're a good one. Okay, so let's just take a look, see if there's any other.
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello friends, welcome back to Studio Classroom, where we are learning about Evelyn Glennie. Now, at one point in time, it was believed that if you wanted to play a percussion instrument, you needed to have a good sense of hearing. However, Evelyn Glennie has proven otherwise. Let's continue learning about her now.
Dame Evelyn Glennie, the world's first solo percussionist. Evelyn Glennie was born in Aberdeen, Scotland, in 1965. She had a happy childhood, growing up toiling on a farm with her parents and two brothers. From an early age, Glennie learned to work hard and love music, just as her parents did. At age 8, Glennie began taking piano lessons, and she also began losing her hearing. By the time she turned 12, she was totally deaf. That same year, she joined her school orchestra. As soon as Glennie saw the instruments in the percussion section, she knew that was where she belonged. She began to study timpani and learned to sense percussion vibrations.
"接下来我们来看动词 toil。To toil 的意思是辛苦工作。例如 After toiling for several days, we finally finished digging the well for the village. 我们辛苦工作几天之后，终于为村落挖好了一座井。或是 The workers expect to be paid after they've toiled for a week. 工人辛苦的工作了1个礼拜后，很期望可以拿到工钱。 Toil 也可以当作名词来指苦劳或是苦工。例如 After a day's toil, Serena is too tired to go out and meet her friends. 忙了一整天后 ，Serena 累到无法跟朋友碰面聚会。或是 The pay is very little for all that toil. No wonder the employees keep quitting. 那么多苦工，钱又那么少，难怪员工一直在离职。最后我们要看的字是名词 vibration。Vibration 的意思是抖动或是震动。例如 While Wanda was driving, there was a strange vibration coming from the engine of her car. Wanda 开车的时候，引擎会有奇怪的震动。或是 My neighbors upstairs do their laundry at night, and the vibration of their laundry machine is annoying. 我楼上邻居会在晚上洗衣服，他们洗衣机震动声响很烦人。如果要说东西会抖动或是震动，就可以用动词 to vibrate。例如 That alarm clock not only rings loudly, but it also vibrates. 那个闹钟不但响声很大，而且还会震动。或是 Although my phone was on silent, I could feel it vibrating in my pocket. 我的手机虽然调到静音，但是我可以感受它在我口袋里震动。好的 ，Let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Yes, thank you for toiling with those words and creating those example sentences because they gave us some good vibes. You like that?
I love it.
Yeah,
Good job.
Vibe is a kind of an abbreviation for vibration. And if you talk about something that has good vibes, that means it creates a positive atmosphere.
That's right. Now, earlier we were talking about how it was believed for years that having a good sense of hearing was vital, very important if you wanted to be a percussionist. However, Evelyn Glennie proved that this was not always the case. And there's actually a phrase that we would like to talk about that doesn't appear in the lesson, but that has to do with that idea.
That's right, and that's the idea of breaking the mold. So we would say that Evelyn Glennie broke the mold. What does that mean?
If you break the mold, this just means that you do something new. You're different. You're not doing the same old thing over and over. It's not the norm.
So we use this to talk about people who are pioneers in their field or industry. They did something new. Next month, I believe, or the following month, we're going to learn about nurse Florence Nightingale, and she certainly broke the mold. She caused people to think about doing hospitals in a new way, a more healthy or sanitary way. When Apple came out with the iPhone, they certainly broke the mold of the way that we use phones.
And we could definitely say that Evelyn Glennie also broke the mold when it comes to the music world, especially percussionists.
That's right. And we'll learn a little more about the details of that in tomorrow's lesson. But we learn about Evelyn's background here. Evelyn Glennie was born in Aberdeen, Scotland in 1965.
She had a happy childhood, growing up toiling on a farm with her parents and two brothers. From an early age, Glennie learned to work hard and love music just as her parents did.
All right. Well, she was toiling on a farm when she was younger. It's just so interesting to think about the places people came from. You think of the solo percussionist now, or someone who's a famous musician, and you wouldn't usually guess something like this, that she grew up on a farm, right?
No.
But she grew up in Scotland. Actually, if you go and do a Google search or on YouTube, try to find a video of Evelyn Glennie. I know she's given a few talks. You can hear her Scottish accent if you would like a challenge with a different kind of accent.
Now, we do read that Glennie worked hard. And there's a word that we would like to discuss, and that is the word diligent. I would say that Glennie was very diligent. And if you're diligent, this just means that you're very careful and use a lot of effort to do something.
Okay, so that's the adjective form of this word. You're diligent. Well, diligence, you replace the T with a C-E. That becomes a noun. This person has a lot of diligence. That's one of the things I admire my dad for. I admire my dad for his diligence. He is a diligent person. He does things diligently.
That's right. Well, let's continue learning about Glennie. At age 8, Glennie began taking piano lessons, and she also began losing her hearing. By the time she turned 12, she was totally deaf. I'm sure that was very difficult for her because she loves music.
Exactly. It's one thing to be born deaf and to never have experienced the sense of hearing, so you don't know what you're missing necessarily. But when you start out being able to hear and at some point in your life you become deaf, that must be truly frustrating. But we read here that same year she joined her school orchestra. So she loves music a lot, and she didn't let her loss of hearing stop her from pursuing music.
As soon as Glennie saw the instruments in the percussion section, she knew that was where she belonged. Now there's a phrase that we would like to take a look at that has the word belong in it, and that is to have a sense of belonging. If you have a sense of belonging, you are in a place and you feel like that is where you belong.
So where is it important to have a sense of belonging? Of course, it's important no matter where you are in life to have a group of friends, a group of close friends. If you're going to a church, you want to feel like you belong at that church. That's why a lot of people leave some churches, because they just never had a sense of belonging at that place, and they go find somewhere else.
Exactly. Well, we read she began to study timpani and learned to
Timpani.
Timpani. And learned to sense percussion vibrations. Thank you very much, percussionist.
Right, of course. I think I played the timpani maybe for 1 or 2 songs for concerts when I was in high school. That's a fun instrument. But we need to learn more right now by reviewing. Let's see how this word vital is used in a skit.
The heart is a vital part of the human body.
Excuse me, Professor. What do you mean by vital?
It's absolutely necessary. You can't live without it.
Oh, so the heart is very important.
Yes, there are several other vital organs. Your lungs, kidneys, brain, they are all vital.
Oh, other things are vital to life too. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. We can't survive without those things.
Correct. All those things are essential.
Yeah. Excuse me, Professor. Do we need to remember this information? How important is it?
All this information will be on the final exam.
Oh, it's vital information. I should write it down. Can you repeat what you just said?
Well, that was a fun skit, and now you know how to use that word vital, so practice using it. Well, we've learned a lot about Glennie today. We learned that at the age of 8, she started to play piano, and around the same time, she also started to lose her hearing. That can be very difficult for someone who loves music as much as she does. Well, friends, we have more to learn about Evelyn Glennie next time, so please do come back right here on Studio Classroom.
A lifetime.